Hello, guys. This is your boy Vipers here today, and welcome to the GamerTakes show, episode number 34, if I'm right. Let me see. Yes, episode 34. Today's topic we're going to be talking about is the culture for an esports team. I got a lot of topics on the list, so kind of this is a little bit different. I did a topic in the past talking about coaching. I got a Rocket League coach on here talking about coaching. Kind of it's different, but we're going to kind of talk about the esports perspective. So I try to get a coach, manager, or a owner, and today we got a kind of a founder and CEO of an organization. We're going to let our guest introduce himself here, and yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zoller. Most people call me Boss or Amaru, like a character from Rainbow Six, because my name correlates a lot with it. I am the current CEO and founder of a small organization in the European region known as Paralysis Esports, and I'm also a manager for a Rainbow Six league, and I'm also a director for Rainbow Six league. So I'm very correlated with esports, and I understand a lot about it.
That's perfect. I Rainbow Six question I ask in the later a portion of the show. So first question I got for you is, what got you inspired to found the esports team, especially Team Pylorus? Or I think that's how you pronounce it.
What got me into kind of creating a team was I was actually once a player as well, and so every time I was joining a team, I would just kind of just see how things go. And for some reason, being a player just wasn't meant for me. I didn't see it. I wanted to do something a bit bigger. I wanted to be more involved with esports. So I said, why not just start a team? And a lot of people don't know is that when I first started Paralysis Esports, I actually disbanded the team. I'd say about maybe a couple weeks in. I created it back in May of this year and spent about 2 weeks. And then I came back again, and we're growing faster and a lot better. So I just feel like it's just a better environment now that I'm just creating a team, the community that I'm in, correlating with smells and with myself, with different organizations and owners, talking with them, see how I can improve and everything. So that's pretty much how I got started in creating a team in esports.
How many games does Team Pylorus represent in, and how many employee? I don't. Some small teams might have employees, like maybe financiers or maybe not financiers or something like that. But kind of explain that topic for you on your hand.
Um, so we first started just being Rainbow Six, and I have three Rainbow Six rosters. I have two PC teams. I have an esports team and an academy team, and I have a console team representing Xbox. And we just took in an Apex Legends team, so that's really neat. And right now, I'm just fixing up some new rosters for Rocket League, Call of Duty, Cold War, Valorant, League of Legends, and CS:GO. So I'm just kind of just working on my way, just figuring out what I want to do and everything. And in terms of members and managers and players, I only have, let's say, about two assistant managers with me, and I have three team managers representing certain games. So I'm the general team manager for Rainbow Six, for Valorant as well, and for CS:GO and for Rocket League right now a little bit. And then I have some other managers doing some League of Legends and Valorant and what was it, Apex Legends as well. So it varies from game to game, and it's pretty difficult finding managers because you want to find certain people who acquire the certain qualities um, and values that you want them to represent your organization. Mature, a positive state of mind and such. So it's really hard, and you want to try to find some that are like freelancers. So there's no money correlated right now because I don't have any money, so I can't pay anyone. But everyone involved is really happy, and so yeah.
Have you been how have you found any interest from investors or something like or people who can finance the team recently, or is it just kind of been you and you're trying to start doing it?
It's just me. I do a lot of research, a lot of reading, and I try to put myself out there. And finding an investor is a priority as well because I would like to, finance tickets, maybe some good players in, or even an office space would be incredible for us. But we're a small organization. We still have a lot to build on. Just small foundation right now. Just gotta find those blocks to build upon one by one, brick by brick. So I know potentially and eventually we'll find an investor. So it's a work in progress, but at the moment it's just me.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Also, one more thing before you kind of start going down the question, actual questions. What achievements have you kind of like gaming achievements, like team achievements, have you had while at Team Pylorus, even with the short time period since you started in May? Like
In
any,
term in terms of winning.
Any success, like, well, yeah, winning
Yeah,
that would be a big help, but like any kind of progress into big tournaments, like
yeah,
good placements into big tournaments.
yeah. So yeah, as I said, our the main focus of Paralysis Esports right now is actually around Rainbow Six Siege, seeing that we have the more most rosters on there. So recently, our main roster competed in what was known as Platinum League, now reformed as Reflex Champions. They won season 3. So it was really incredible. It was the first game, first league playing together under the org. So it was really incredible to see that, and just to see them just grow and work together and trying to like make something of themselves. And Rainbow Six, there's actually 4 tiers. There's tier 1, which is Pro League. Tier 2 is Challengers. Tier 3 is Nationals, and Tier 4 is all community leagues. And most of the guys on the roster are around tier 3. So they have a lot of experience playing against national teams. Some they tend to do scrimmages against tier 2 as well, so challengers. So it's a one-off from Pro League. So it's really incredible just to have a few of those guys get that sort of experience and boost the players' mentality to start playing tougher competitions. Other than that, Apex Legends, they have some pretty good successes, achievements. They've landed top 16, top 8 in some major leagues and exhibitions. They just recently did pretty well in the what was it, the GALL, no, the ALGS network expedition. So it's pretty neat. So other than that, that's it. Not much. We're just waiting on the leagues to start because seasons tend to be pretty long. So we have to
Okay.
sit back and wait, do some scrimmages, dry runs, all that whatnot. So yeah, just waiting, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you gotta get that practice in for the other teams, so you can hopefully make it to Pro League and Rainbow Six and other leagues. So,
Absolutely.
first question I got for you is what reasons? So, what reasons from your experience or from what you've been seeing of why teams have this solved? Mostly since you're a manager, CEO, and you kind of found you probably had players leave um, your specific teams. What were the reasons behind it? When the players contact you, say, "I want to, I don't want to be with this team anymore because of this or that."
Interesting question. Yeah, it varies from player to player. Some leave on a good note. Some leave on a terrible note. Um, some there's some players that left in terms of ego. I don't tolerate any form of childish behavior or just poor mentality. I'm not your dad. I'm not here to baby. I'm not here to babysit you. You need to have a sense of morals and responsibility. As an adult and as a player, you have to understand that there are qualities and there are regulations, rules when you come into a team. It's not just about you; it's about the entire team and the growth of the organization. So some people didn't like my approaches. They didn't. I don't know. They don't like French people. Most of the guys I recruited were English. They don't like French people. So yeah, I can't change my heritage, unfortunately. So, but they just But some people left in terms of real life situations, schooling, work, college, parents. Sometimes that was also the case as well. So, it just the main point out of this when people tend to drop is to just not look at it as a setback. Just try to like move past it and just move forward, because if you just rely so much on like people who just keep believing, you're not gonna get anywhere. You just need to keep grinding and keep finding players that respect your qualities, that respect who you are and your values, and go from there. And that's how you'll build. And that's pretty much the message, really.
So where is you? So have you ever had to deal with a situation? You kind of talked about the egos and all that, that it can be a big problem, but have you had to step in to solve a small confrontation with one of your Rainbow Six teams where it's just kind of a small argument and you just had to you try to fix it so there wouldn't be future problems? Like where you had
Absolutely.
oh,
Oh
do you have
yeah,
an
no,
example of that?
I do. Yes. I've had several occasions, obviously, but we just had a player. Just he um, he just wasn't the right fit. Like in terms of being a player, his skill was there. his mentality was not. It just kept bringing the team down. He just kept being really just having just a poor mentality. I've had several cases. Some players approached me saying like, "Hey, can you step in? Like, hey, can you get I don't know, talk with him?" It's like, yeah, I'll sit down, talk with him, see what's going on. And it's important for me to see both sides. And so, yeah, it's just really hard to just step in from time to time. It's like, I want you guys to deal with it yourselves. You guys are adults, try to figure it yourselves. But when it comes out of hand, I just tend to step in and just say like, are you guys done? Like, are you guys done arguing? Because you're not gonna get anywhere. I'm not gonna get anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. So let's just put it out there. You guys are done arguing and just move past it. Find a way to just come with an agreement or just walk off, get out of your room, go walk at the park or something. I don't know, do whatever you need to do to just cool off. But I've had people who just let their egos and it would cause a lot of problems. And I just said, like, I just got to step in and be like, that's enough. I'm not your
That's
like I said, I'm not your dad. Just I can't be doing this, stepping in, like this shouldn't be happening, but it happens. And so I'll have to be the bigger person and be like, hey, you're going. You're going. That's it. That's it.
have you had like when you got into these arguments, have they ever disrespected you? Just say, wait, why the hell are you bitching me around?
Nope.
Oh, I thought
Well,
it could possibly happen.
the thing is, I'm actually like the oldest person in the world, so they do tend to see me like as this older figure that they know they need to respect. And that like they know like I'm not gonna disrespect. I don't disrespect any of my members. I don't. And I think it's only, like just fair that, like treat us the way you want to be treated. And so I treat with you with this sort of dignity and respect, and I, demand the same thing. And luckily I've never received that sort of hate back before. They just came to understand like, oh, okay. And then either we let this, like the dispute just drop, or they make a decision to leave. And it's my responsibility to keep my head up and keep everyone else's head up and be like, let's move forward.
I get it. That's the first thing you want to do. Just kind of drop the egos. Let's just produce the results that we need to, and kind of have fun with it without having just these fights where they can make the organization look bad for having many multiple tweets go down and say, "Wow, this guy's shit. My guy can't perform on this team."
Mm.
All that, and the social media aspect can have a big effect too, even in and out of game. So what, since you're the CEO and also kind of had management experience, if you were a team manager along with the if you're a team manager along with your role as maybe the role as coach, but maybe that's not. If there was a player on the team that was doing bad, do you put the blame on the player for not doing well, or do you put the blame on the rest of the team for not maximizing the potential out of the player who is doing bad? I can happily repeat the question since it's kind of a long one.
No, it's actually an appropriate question. This is actually a question that a lot of people tend to kind of just overlook. It's never the fault of anyone. It's just like in real life, we make mistakes. It's just makes us human. We need to account for human error as well. So we all have our bad days, our bad games and such. It is what it is. The issue is the behavior, it's the attitude, how they take it. If you start blaming your teammates, everyone's gonna shut down. It's just simple as that. I've seen it in Pro League. I've seen it in Challengers. I've seen it in VODs. I've seen it ever on YouTube as well. It's like once someone starts, speaking rationally, no one, everyone's putting bad behavior. When someone is dropping like a donut, if someone is like underperforming, if someone starts trash talking, saying like, "Hey, you need to pick up your act, like you're doing poorly," like that's not the way to go. It's like, hey, let's put you on a different role, let's do a different approach and stuff like that. It's finding a way to, you know be counterintuitive, just find a way to solve that issue instead of just blaming each other or just blaming like the player. Like, it's human error. You did poorly, okay, I know you'll do better next time. Simple as that.
The long, a lot of these team changes do happen because of player poorly, but that's kind of interesting that you kind of have to also try to motivate your teammates to kind of do better. Otherwise, there's not going to be any progress with improvement,
Exactly.
which has happened many times where it, when you look at the stat book, yeah, it does not look great. That's probably, if everybody fans, viewers side, that's the first play you want to drop. Probably teammates, yeah, that's what we got to do. But, let's try to keep this as long as possible until we need the change. Don't try to, stats look bad, but when it becomes a dire emergency, if you feel like he's not improving, but he feels like you want, give him a little bit more time when he's on that down phase of, okay, maybe I'm not doing good right now, but maybe we gotta change his role. Maybe we gotta make him more IGL. Maybe change him with operators. Make him more comfortable. And if the comfortability level doesn't work, then that's when you kind of make the switch. But I don't think as a player and as a coach, as a manager, as CEO, you don't want to kind of just boom shit on them because they're doing bad and put
No,
the blame on them. It's a team unless you play Madden or Madden eSports,
or
Quake.
solo.
Yes, so which not
Um,
there's not a lot. It's a team activity, so you gotta do your best to try to help them out so you can make the team grow, even if the rest of the team's doing good.
yeah, I always say that if one player falls, everyone falls. If one player fails, the whole team fails. If one player is at fault of losing a round, the whole team is at fault to losing a round. It's as simple as that. Especially if it's a team-based game, you need to just counter that everyone's a team. Everyone's a player on the same team, playing under the same name, playing under for the same game. So they just need to. It's up to them to see how they respond to when someone's underperforming. And sure, yeah, there's been like situations that people tend to underperform throughout an entire season. Like, sure, yes, that happens, and then all of a sudden, the next season, stats just go, just skyrocket. So it just depends. One season is doing really well. One season you're doing poorly. Another season you're doing mediocre, and then another season you're just back on your ground, just doing really well. Just it's an up and down progress. It's just how it is. It always varies with the certain seasons that occur throughout the games because each game, like Rainbow Six, they're seasons. Each season there are new updates, there are new bug fixes, there are new characters, new maps, there are new changes that occur, and so you need to accommodate to all those changes. And one season you're doing really well on all these new changes. On this next season, you just can't accommodate to it. You can't, so you tend to underperform. So it just varies really. So you can't just leave out human error.
I respect me. So kind of this is gonna be probably the last question for a while. That's kind of talking about the bet, the kind of argument side. But do you think the amount of money players make, even if so, we kind of talked about I came up with this a long time ago. United R6 situation when it first started, when they were getting picked up, when they had Yeti, Alfama, Grixer, Callout, and Forest. The Obey Alliance roster was the past where they had Abi9 and Frozo, but they dropped them because, as what I think what it said was, Forest was influenced by the big bucks, and United didn't wanted Yeti and Afama in the situation. They didn't, you know, they were influenced by money. But have you had any, you had players lead the organization, and you kind of have you had a, oh, let me sorry. Have you ever had a player or someone leave your team or organization due to money influence?
Hmm.
It's
Funny you ask. Um, Everyone knows that I don't have the funding to pay everyone.
yeah,
In the more recent months, I put in contracts for different teams, just for me an experience to see how comfortable do I feel, do I have the funding for it, and such. And so it was just an experiment for me. And I told everyone like, hey, I'm gonna have to drop the funding. I don't make enough as it is with my job, with my current job. There's like there's a lot of like variables that come into play. So when I made the news, a lot of people were like, okay, no, that's fine. Let's go. We're not here for the money, which is really cool. I have one particular person who's here for the money. So it's pretty sad. But like I'm not gonna be the blame I don't want to be to blame that they don't get to progress. Like, if you find a better organization that does pay you and such, like, please do so. I don't want to stop you from growing. So, but it's just, it is what it is. It's how people are. Some people are greedy. They want money. Some people are not. So a lot of people, and the people that I put under contract, when I said there's no contract, there's no energy. They're like, oh, that's cool. Like, they weren't here for the money. They're really happy about it. Like, 'cause they thought it was already a lot from my end to pay them, especially if we weren't playing. If they weren't playing at like the tier 2 or tier 1 area, they were playing like towards like the bottom. So they're not doing like big, huge tournaments. So everyone was really understanding, and so yeah, it just varies from person to person in terms of their ego.
Now, if you just your case, like just say you were a player, would you have done the Unite situation, or would you just said, okay, screw it, we'll just stay with the same team, let's not join the organization because two members of that team would have split up, would have been out if you were just like in situation like them.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the article and everything. It's a little gray for me still a little bit, but I just say, in a player's point of view, it's pretty difficult. Especially if you have like one or two drop, it's just hard to like kind of come back with it and everything. Um, if you're competing at that certain level, you do have an expectation to have a contract and everything. And if they don't provide one and such, it's like, then what am I doing here? I'm just gonna move on. Um, because you have like this certain expectation. It's like getting fired from a job. You're doing well and everything, and all of a sudden the org is not doing well, and a player drops, another player drops, and it's like, okay, do I stay or do I go? And so it just depends. Like, it has to have to be in that moment. Have to be, like, as a player, it depends on the situation, like, thoroughly. Like, do I like, the team I'm under? Do I get influenced by the others' decisions? It plays a part. Self-esteem. We can't get influenced by others' decisions.
So you'd
So
rather not chase the bag immediately unless you don't think the team is going to succeed when it goes up to the higher tier level.
yeah, I will wait for a little bit, and if I see progress, it's like, okay, there we go. We're progressing. All right, I'm sick. If I see there's no progress, then let's take a Rogue for example. They had the worst season I've ever seen in Rainbow Six. They just failed. I'm sorry. I love Rogue, but by God, they did horrible. I feel so bad for them. Oh my God. And it's just, it wasn't working out. Now, of course, that's only one season, but I'm curious on the player's point of view. What are they going to do? Do they plan on staying? Do they plan on leaving? So I don't know. I don't know personally. It just varies on their own decision. See if they're influenced by the poor performance. Is it the team's fault, or is it the org? Is the org not doing enough to help them perform at their best? So
I don't know what the situation. I knew. I was just shocked. Like they were top in the stage one, which was I don't think shocking because that's how Rogue or any kind of rogue based, Rogue, Listerine, Millennium team kind of operate. They were just top, but they just didn't succeed on land. They didn't really have a land, and then just see them just a switch, just go from 10th place, and now you got to fight for relegation
yeah.
against two pretty formidable UK teams, and either Corona or M&M. Who
Hmm.
do you think? And let's ask before we I want to give one point. Who do you think is going to win if you kind of saw the rosters? Who's going to win that finals match and get that auto promotion? Corona or M&M? Or you probably don't know it, the rosters.
Mm. I'm familiar with the roster. I would have to say it would have to be. Oof, that's a tough one. Because I did see the Gamma against Eminem. That was such an inspiring match. So it was just tough. You can't you just don't know what to expect anymore. Take out Makers for example, a tier 3 team that qualified for during the open qualifiers for Six Invitational Rainbow Six. It was just inspiring. They made history, so you don't know based on the roster. You don't know now. With the new changes that are made, utility-based changes that are made in Rainbow Six, you don't know. But if I have to make a guess now, I would have to go with Kawano.
Interesting. I think we go with M&M because they have more players who kind of have the tier two and tier one experience. didn't really pull up the roster beforehand, and let's go back to the road situation. I what would you happens with that roster if they don't win that relegation match, that promotion relegation/promotion match, or they actually win it? Would they make a roster change?
I would say they have to make a roster change now. If they had this entire season, I think they should be able to reflect on, especially tier one. You got to do roster change. You got to change something up, either roster change or role change. Put someone else on a different role. You got to switch it up. If something's not working out, you got to switch it up. Either do roster change, as I said, or put people at different roles. Got to try them out, because if someone is not doing well in a certain role, it's you just got to put them in a different role. The likelihood of them doing a roster change is, I don't know, it's pretty slim. I don't know how Rogue is gonna come back after what happened during the season and during this relegation match. I just don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, I was
Kind of
just
feel bad
curious.
for them.
It probably had to be some behind the scenes, like it's probably one of the players, maybe a couple of them that kind of just affected their season. It's just kind of odd that it was such a drastic drop.
Mm-hmm.
Next question I got for you is, what strategies have you known of um, that you've seen other coaches, managers/owners try to do to improve the culture and chemistry for your team? And actually, so from other perspectives and your perspective, what strategies have you seen to try to improve the culture and chemistry of a esports team?
I would have to say it's community. It's the constant engagement between the staff and the players involved. It's just constant engagement. You have to keep, the players in the loop, what's going on, the ambitions. I was asking, hey, how you guys doing? How's your day going? Don't get too overly involved, but just let them know that, like, hey, we're here, we're behind you, we support you. We're trying to do the best we can to help you get to where you want to be. It's such that support, that that helping hand every time you fall. We're there to help you get back up on your feet. It's just that constant engagement, that constant reminder to tell them that we are here. It's just the overall support. If players see that you have no interest in them, then they won't have interest in you. It's just that's the biggest thing I would have to say. You have to constantly, just be engaged with the members, either they're on the roster or even on the team managers and the coaches. Tell them what are your ambitions. Ask them like, hey, how's it going? How are the stats doing? How are the players doing? How are they feeling? Um, what games do you guys have going? Maybe I want to come by and see you. If it's a LAN event, I might buy a ticket and go over there and check it out. I don't know. It's just having that engagement and that community around behind each player and each member. I think it keeps that core chemistry together in an organization along with the team. It's just if teams, and even for me as a player, when I was a player, the problem that I had is that I knew some owners, but they were more like team leaders. It was just like a team. It wasn't an organization. And so I was playing with some team leaders and stuff, and I just felt like it felt too I don't know, felt too close of a relationship. It's like if you're the leader, okay, you're a team captain, but I want an owner. I want someone who's behind the scenes taking care of everything. I need something, because for me, I was actually a player and the CEO manager of everything, and I had to make a decision. Do I want to continue being a player, or do I want just to run this shit, just do it? And it was hard because I enjoyed playing. I loved playing. I just loved it. But I had to make that decision, so I chose just be CEO, just be founder, manager, do what you got to do to just build. And so that's exactly what I did. So just having that point of view of both, I would have preferred being the CEO and being on the back end, being behind the scene, but telling I'm always in the Discord and on Twitter, just telling hey guys, how you guys doing? Liking their tweets, commenting on it and everything, just keeping that sense of interest in them, being engaged with them and each player, keeping that chemistry together. I think that's what's important.
So you try to care for them, but not do too much and control
Exactly.
of, yeah.
Not be their
I,
parent, just a supporter.
yeah. Actually, I just have this on my mind. have you like besides kind of keeping up with the team in regards to kind of practice scrims tournaments, have you kind of played other games with them, kind of spend time with the maybe daily, or maybe later in the night you might play a different game besides the game they're playing, or maybe you just actually play
Yeah,
with other players?
yeah,
Let's go
from
with that.
time to time, I play, with the Rainbow Six team. I tend to play some games with them, either ranked, unranked, casuals, 1v1s, just to have some fun. Um, Apex, I haven't played with them. My frames are really low on my computer, so I can't really play on it. I play CS:GO sometimes with the Rainbow Six team. I play some Rogue Company, some Rocket League, some Valorant, and some League of Legends now. So I think it's just making sure that everyone's just having a good time and that they know that I'm here for you guys, whatever what. We've had situations in the past with people feeling very down and telling them like, hey, if you need to talk to someone, we're here. If you're not comfortable with us here, you can go see someone. It's just that constant reminder that everyone's here supporting each other and just playing games with them, keeping that chemistry and that bond together that we are a team, we're a family. So yeah.
That's good. Next question I got for you is, do you think owners, so this is not, I don't think this is going to relate to kind of your ownership, but this is kind of related to the kind of the big organizations a little bit. Do you think owners of esports teams need to be more involved with all of their teams that represent them? Because there are some teams that heavily, this is a long question, because there are some teams that heavily support their players for more popular games like League of Legends, CSGO, instead of small games like fighting games or sports games. So like they got like, it's easy to do see in a social media perspective, because you can probably just say, for example, we'll go with Team Liquid or G2. They kind of, a lot of the Twitter posts kind of focus on League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO. They don't kind of really have two, or maybe Rainbow Six a lot of times, but they kind of, if you had any other team involved with that organization, or game involved organization, it's disappeared or maybe not. Do you think that will help the players kind of stay a little bit more if they kind of have the support? This is also one more thing. This is kind of a big issue with FaZe Clan, as they had the FaZe Clan main page. They kind of post a lot of Fortnite content.
Are we talking about the American brand or the Brazilian brand?
Um, we'll go with the American one. The Brazilian, they just post on the FaZe update Twitter page, and that stuff, but they don't post anything on that main page. I think that's a great example of that. Do you think that hurts a little bit? Because could that mean, oh, they're not going to care about us? Let's just leave this organization. Even they don't post update what our matches are live. They only do it on their secondary Twitter. They don't post it on the main page. They only
What's an
post this
issue?
on the main. Okay. Sorry. You talk first.
That's right. No, yeah, it's an issue. I think at one point, once a game is recognized at a high tier, I wouldn't say now like, okay, let's just leave it now. Let's focus on something else. No, but slowly bring like this upcoming roster they have. Sure, they're performing at a lesser rate, at a lower rate, but kind of show like the team that you are there with them at all times, posting it on social media platform and showing up at their LAN events as well. And I say even more so than your other one games that are that you're performing like the highest rate. I think it's important to just because having fans, yes, that's really intricate as well. But if players see that there's the staff, especially that's involved, that shows them like this guy wants us to get somewhere. He's watching us. Like we have an expectation to a standard to hold. Let's show what we got. Like him or her. I don't. Doesn't matter if you're a male or a female owner. It's just it's important as an owner to support the best you can of all your teams that are involved that are representing your organization. You could take League of Legends for example. It's like super big, especially Dota and League of Legends, or Dota. I can't really pronounce it right. Dota or League of Legends, they're like the biggest like games out there. Say you have a couple of rosters playing like I don't know, Overwatch or Apex, for example, and they're like smaller games, but and you pay more attention to the big games than the smaller games, and pay no attention to us. You know, a player wants to be noticed. Teams want to be noticed, and if we're not getting noticed, then what's the point? We're going to go somewhere else where we can be noticed, and I think that plays an important role as an owner. That recognition.
This was kind of talked about. I think I watched 616 podcast with featured Mavin and said, "Well, I wish we had more recognition, but it's kind of nice. It might not be small, but hey, at least we're kind of a part of the big, one of the biggest orgs on the planet. I think that's kind of they should do that more. And also, I was having you talk. The phase update page, which they tend to post a lot of the phase R6 stuff, even the small videos, that only has 182K followers, and the main page has 4.6, 4.7. That's a big difference. So
Yeah.
you get that main page, you got more followers, you got more people kind of supporting you,
Yeah, it's just sad. Like honestly, a team should not have a secondary, an organization should not have a secondary account. It has to stick with one, and you have to post everything on there, even if that means you're posting 6 in the matter of like 1 hour. Like that's what it is. When you run an organization, you have a lot of teams. So teams require a lot of attention. If you're only playing 1 game, 2 games, 2 rosters, it's not a lot of posts to make. Like it's fine, just simple engagements. But if you have if you're representing 10 games, that's a lot of posts you got to make. There's rosters, there's streams, even all that stuff. There's upcoming games, tournaments, lands, all that stuff. There's a lot of posts you got to make. So you have to show them like you recognize that. Hey, these guys have a tournament. Go watch that stream. Hey, these guys they have a tournament as well. Go watch them. It's not like you take, as we said, League of Legends or Dota. Like our 2 top teams are playing in this tournament. Go watch them. And then when you have other games as well, like they have a tournament as well, but you don't make a post, and so no one's watching their tournament. No one's like rooting for them. I'm not playing. That's it's a big issue. So I think having one is appropriate. Having two is not. It's just what's the point? What's the second one for?
Respectable. Next question I have for you is: do you worry that players on a specific organization invest too much into watch experience talent that it can deteriorate the value of the whole team? So this is kind of talking about maybe let's just go example like a CS:GO roster, they're always picking up some watch player who's just been struggling because that can actually improve. That can bring a lot of viewership and money, or maybe fans to the team because they have that experienced player instead of kind of injecting new blood. This is injecting new fresh blood, like new talent, who does not have any following and all that. It doesn't have the Twitter followers, maybe has less than 1,000, but is very, very talented at the game. You think that kind of hurts a little? As an esports manager, coach, would you take the risk on new talents, knowing that it won't bring you to fans immediately, or would you kind of take that experienced player who would bring you fans, but although it's just been on a decline? I know it's a lot of wording I just said.
No. Like I got that. It depends on the organization's situation. If they're really in need of a roster change, picking a new player to bring some new talent, even if they're not recognized, but they're new talent, I'd say you go for it. If you see something, I think what the problem is that I've seen a lot of esports organizations is that they tend to trade players in the same tier. In Pro League, all you see is Pro League players playing. You never see just a random tier 4 like amazing player just get recruited by tier 1 team. You don't see like National get recruited at tier 1, just simple as that. The only prime example would be Sir Boss, who is now playing for Mako Esports. He was on the G2 roster playing for a Six Invitational 2020.
Yeah.
2019, I think. I think it was
2020 was a stand-in.
It was 2020. 2020. Like he was tier 3. Tier 3, he was representing tier 1. Like, okay, and then he's down tier 3, which respectable. But I think it's if you see young blood, fresh talent out there, I say you just go for it, because it's gonna bring more interest. Because if you see the same roster in the span of like 5 years, it gets boring. It gets very boring.
Even if they succeed a lot.
Even if they succeed a lot, you want to see some new talent. Everyone is always hungry for new talent. That's the thing. Everyone wants to see something new, especially at the tier 1 level. If you're tier 4, tier 3, it's like there's like, I wouldn't say almost, but regular changes that occur. Whereas like in tier 1, a change could be good. Whether if they're performing well, like after 5 years, if they're performing well, I mean, it just depends on the organization. Do they want to bring a new player in or not? It just depends on them. So just bringing new talent could, it could prove beneficial. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad for them. It just depends on the fans how they react.
This is kind of a this is kind of the noticeable issue in Valorant. You know, we talk CS:GO always doing that with the European side, and you kind of with the NA, like you know, the NA talent in CS:GO isn't growing because they don't have the great minor leagues. You know, just like League of Legends, that's pretty good. Like well, maybe not the NA Academy system. Well, actually, yeah, but you know, they got a deep amateur scene, but like the NA CS:GO scene, the amateur scene isn't that deep. I think those amateur scenes kind of really help out a lot. But also a big issue with had with Valorant is kind of these teams picking up CS:GO players. FaZe has basically almost a full Overwatch roster for the Valorant team, besides one player. You know, we have seen Valorant specific, like first esports Valorant players coming in, but again, getting picked up by big organizations. But it's kind of hard for I. Good thing is Valorant is kind of a starting. They always go with the noticeable players in for Valorant. Like they go for CS:GO players, Overwatch players, any kind of who represent esports, other games in esports to as Valorant talent. But they kind of forget about the rest of the scene until you know you see the top. Um, that's one esport I was thinking about. It's like wait, that's a scene where they kind of went for popularity first instead of who was great at the game. You know,
Mm.
because they have a big name. They'll hopefully be good instead of getting those guys that were good immediately.
Yeah. Just because they have like a big follow or whatever, you can't let it get to your head. You need to find the talent. You can't just go for popularity. You just gotta find the talent. Because
Respectable.
if anything, talent wins games, not popularity.
Respectable. So next question I have for you is: does the amount of stress due to wanting to be the best happen to the players you coached, you know, you kind of talked to, managed, all that, and what is their attitude slash mindset during the periods of stress? So, what, if that makes any sense, what I just said?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Um, it varies from person to person, how they deal with stress. Everyone has their own stress relief. Uh, just a way to just relieve stress. So, for me, for example, relieve stress would have to do some exercise, go to the gym, go for a run. Just resets my mindset. Others, it's playing casual games. Some it's watching a movie. Some it's for sleeping. So um, everyone's feeling stressed. Everyone does their own thing. What helps them get through the day to get to a better and positive mindset.
It's common
Not
with
every,
burnout,
yeah.
like players getting burned out. Have you
Mhm.
had a situation where they felt like, okay, this I'm putting too much, you know, I'm just tired of this anymore. I just want to retire from this game, retire from esports, maybe find a kind of take a break. Have you ever had a situation where you had a player from as a player or coach or manager experience where you had that?
I had never had a player who had a burnout situation in terms of constant playing the game. It was more so with the involvement of real life as well, like personal life, with work, with school, and everything, and the obligation to do scrims and tournaments and stuff like that. It tends to burn you a lot, especially if you're trying like if you there's two different scenes in games. There's the casual scene and then there's the competitive scene. The competitive scene requires a lot of focus, a lot of attention, and so it has an obligation for your time to commit to it. You got the dry runs, you got the scrims, you have your tournaments to do, you have your meetings to do. There's just a lot of obligations, and so the burnout tends to be with personal life and the game. Like work, there's family, there's school, and then there's the game. Some players just are not. They can't deal with. They can't multitask, so they can't deal with that sort of obligation. They just don't have that sort of commitment, and so they tend to just burn out from all of that and just say, "I'm just going to drop this and just do this instead." So yeah,
Have
I
you
mean, I was
ever,
able to do it.
or have you ever had a situation where you just said, okay, I just don't want to, you know, play anymore. You know, I don't want to kind of be running everybody's business. You know, I need to take that little mental break, maybe take a week break from running the organization, let someone else run it so I can get my mind reset or anything like that.
That's very hard seeing that I run everything because I don't know who I'm gonna lend out the leash to. When I said before, yeah, I have two assistant managers, but they tend to be really busy with school, with college, and so they don't have a lot of time. So I tend to just find myself doing everything still. I'm literally like the marketing manager, the financial manager, the sponsor manager, I'm the esports agent. I do everything. Everything that you know about esports, I'm literally the guy that does everything. The social media manager, I do that. The recruiting, I help doing that. The team managers, I help do that. On top of that, I'm managing a league and I'm directing a league, so I'm very involved. And some days I'm just really tired and just want to play a game or just sit back and relax. So it's just it is what it is.
How much, like, since you do all of that management, and that's a lot to kind of do, maybe as a small organization, maybe it'll be a lot easier when it's a bigger one. How much free time do you have per day where you just don't have to handle any kind of gaming business, and you can just maybe watch TV, or maybe take a walk, go to the gym, like free activities, hang out with the boys?
It varies on a day-to-day basis. Some days I can go out, go for go work out or just watch a movie. Especially like with work, some days I worked like 8 hours in a day. Some I just work only 4 hours in a day. So I would say on average, outside of just the esports, I don't know. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 hours, excluding sleep.
So it's about 12. Oh, okay, that sounds right. Actually, I'm curious, since you mentioned my work, so you can, small organization, this is not your full-time career. And this is also for the players where, they have the same situation where if they're not getting paid, the team's org but they're pretty dominant, they're having a hard time finding work, they have to work and all that stuff.
Hmm.
That's the hard thing, is because esport, it's not like a guaranteed career, it's a guaranteed career where you can make a lot of money. It's not like a nurse where you have at least a set salary once you finish, or once, all the time, unless we don't have a job. But what do you kind of work? What is your current job, anyways, besides handling your esports organization team, Pylors?
I'm a teacher. I teach English.
For what grade? Oh, nice.
I teach all ages of all grade of all level. Yeah, I live
Have
in
you?
France, so I teach English
Yeah,
here.
yeah, that makes sense. I was shocked. I'll get to that later. What was I trying to say? Uh, Never mind. I totally forgot. Um,
Lost your train of thought.
yeah, I just had something on my mind. I'll probably remember it later. Um, Next question is from you: is from your experience, have you ever had to motivate someone to do better, or have you spent personal time with players to understand why they're struggling in and out of game? That's the first question, and I'll answer the second one later.
I have very much so. I think it's important for me to do so. Always sit down and ask them like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, what's going on? What can I do to help you out?" So it just kind of just being there to support them, helping out, trying to reset their mindset. Like, hey, don't be down. Just think positive, man. Just get through this. You're gonna, you're gonna get through this. Everyone has been here in the same position. It happens. And so yeah, I just sometimes just spend some quality time either in a call or just text them, and just tell them like, hey, let's think positive thoughts here, man. Just because you're doing bad, let's rethink this. Let's have a different approach. Let's be positive. I think it's important that everyone is positive. Once we start getting negative, does
That
not go in
sounds
the right
right.
direction. Yeah, so it's important for me. I'm the guy that's just always supportive. I'm just there no matter what. No matter
Even
what.
when even when they're struggling, have you actually, not like via social media and all that, have you actually met with the person? Have you also, let's talk about this. Have you met, this might be exposure, maybe not, that's okay. Have you actually met in real life with your actual players?
I
I
have
know
not.
it's, I know it's not common. I know it's not a question.
I have
And
not.
like, even like try to meet up with them, even if they're kind of busy, even if they asked to meet up, did you take consideration into wanting to talk with them, even if they're struggling?
There is a huge consideration. It is known as boot camp. Everyone is excited for it. I have a boot camp lounge here in France that I found, so then the players can come and meet each other for the very first time. during a LAN event, and that myself, I can sit down and talk with them face to face and be okay. Let's get down to business. Okay, now we're here. We're at boot camp because a boot camp is a huge stepping stone for an organization. If you have that, then you're gonna get somewhere. So it's really nice to just because having a boot camp, it just brings the team together. Everyone, I have a my organization is a multinational organization. I have players from Croatia, Greece, to Germany, to England, to Poland, me, France. Everyone's everywhere. Everyone's just all over the place in the European region, and so it's I think so. No one really knows each other, so it's important that they find a way that we can find a way to bring everyone together and meet with one another, because that's when it's gonna set the stone of can we work this out? Because there's gonna come a time where you guys this meeting is gonna happen regularly. Either it could be every day, it could be every other month. So this is on a rare occasion that you guys are here during this boot camp for the next week or two. Okay, can you guys work this out? Because it's really important that not only just there's like there's the online chemistry. What about offline chemistry? How well do you guys get along with each other face to face? Are you guys going to just put your fist up and punch each other in the face as someone tends to underperform? I mean, I'm going to be there and be like, yo, what are you guys doing? What are you guys, five? So yeah, it's just I'm really it's I never met anyone, but I've already made the steps of hey, I found a boot camp. I found a way for us to meet together, and everyone's really stoked for it. Everyone can't wait. So I'm really happy with it.
Is that kind of happening soon, or you kind of have an idea, like kind of in the next month or so, or is it just going to be wait
Um,
until COVID kind of lessens
COVID.
down, especially with the oh, so you actually haven't met with any of the players, even if they're from France?
No
And I'm
one's
not.
from France. No one. I'm the only one. Everyone else is spread out the
Oh,
entire
okay.
region.
I was curious because it's kind of do you got to have one player from France from you? Or yeah, I thought that was possible. Like, oh, come on, maybe from France. Maybe it's a long distance drive. Maybe someone else from France. That could kind of ruin the situation. But
I am trying to find some managers, some staff managers from France to help out because of course it's important to at least establish some sort of chemistry with some French people instead of just getting just multinational ones. So yeah, it'll be easier, especially here because it's more local, so I'll be able to find someone close by. So, but yeah,
uh,
no, so I'm the only one here in France. Everyone else is everywhere else.
okay. Do you think is reason? So we have seen recently that they've hired therapists. Yeah, that's how I pronounce it. Do you think it's reasonable for esports organizations to start hiring therapists to solve mental stress for players slash physical stress, or should it be coaches and managers to handle that responsibility of mental fortitude slash attitude? Like, should
Okay.
therapists be the best solution to fixing the mental stress of a player's problems, or should it be the coaches or manager slash managers?
So there are two roles in a team. There's three technically, but one of those roles tend to have a dual role. There's a team manager and there's a coach, and a coach can be an analyst as well. Normally, an analyst is the stat person, the person who kind of just understands the game, who can read the game, who can follow up players' progression and everything. And coach is there to what has like the further knowledge of the game, who can coach players' behavior as well. And the coach is meant to be there as a support role as well, just supporting the teams, helping them out through a bad time. And then there's of course there's the team manager organizing the events, the and so forth. So, um, sure, hiring professional individuals for those certain ways, to detox stress and stuff like that. It just it depends. I would say you have to make a vote. People have to make a vote. Like, hey, do you guys want to have a therapist, or do you think the coach can do it? It's like, oh, the coach can do it, or like, oh yeah, we can get a therapist. Okay, cool, sure. I think the variable that they have to put in, the factor they have to put in, is the money. Well, it's an extra person you have to pay for. You don't know if you know Are they going to stay there? Is it going to be long? How? I mean, what's their role? They're only going to be useful when someone's feeling down, when someone's not feeling well. Like, so it depends on how active are they going to be, financially, how are you going to support them, and so forth. So there's a lot of factors you got to put in as well. But my point of view right now, I can't. I don't know. Right now, I I don't know, but it could be a good idea. Could
Would
be.
you like? Would you hire them if you had the money? And would you think it would be a good investment in money to hire like a physical therapist, occupational therapist, someone who can kind of help with stress and like also a personal trainer? So make sure the players don't have carpal tunnel or back problems and all that.
I think a physical therapist could prove very beneficial, as there's a lot of physical attributes correlated with video games. Posture is a big thing, where, as you mentioned, back pain and everything. I think having a physical, I think having a physical therapist would be really nice. Having just a mental therapist, like a psychologist, for example, I don't know. I don't see it to be a good fit. But a physical therapist would be nice because I think it's important that players are engaged in the day-to-day activities, like physical activities, not just playing video games or just spending 10, 12 hours a day in front of a screen, that they're getting out, getting their daily exercise, whether it be 30 minutes on the treadmill or shooting some hoops, and stuff like that, shooting, stuff like that. I think it's important that you know players are physically fit. Now, I'm not saying fit like bodybuilders. Like, no, I'm not asking you to do that. But I'd say, yeah, having a physical therapist would be really good to help relieve some sort of body pain that may occur. Cramps tend to be a huge thing as well in gaming. Back pains as well, posture. So I'd say physical therapist would be the more probable option.
Have you ever had a player kind of complain about, like as you were a player or any of the roles I mentioned, kind of complain about like when you kind of talked to them, said, "Oh, I'm experiencing back pain. Oh, I'm experiencing carpal tunnel and all that." And have you ever experienced any of those kind of gaming pains yourself? Just curious.
Um, Not really, because I tend to be kind of engaged in day-to-day activities. Um, but I've always had like kind of like a back issue since I was little. My back is kind of like a little crooked. So
So
sometimes I
like
kind of just,
scoliosis.
yeah, like a very minor one. It's nothing major,
Oh,
but that was like back when I was like almost a baby, just like 6 or 7 years old. Like, I had nothing to do with gaming, but it doesn't really affect me that much as well because I'm always engaged in day-to-day activities. So, but I did have a player who had some back issues. He had to step down. He was actually on the academy team. He was a captain. He actually brought his entire team over from a different organization to come here because they were being mistreated at the other organization. And they said like, "Hey, I'm the manager for this organization. He's super cool. Why don't you go come and join?" And I was like, they were like, "Yeah, sure, okay." So he just brought the entire team over. So that was cool. But yeah, and so then he had to step down because he had some issues with his back. It was like a kind of like a life crisis, as you mentioned. It was really painful. So he had to undergo physical therapy and surgery as well. So it was kind of sad to see him kind of drop from that role. But he said that he's going through medication and physical therapy, and now he's getting better. So I think it's important. Having a physical therapist would be really nice. I think it would
good to
prove
hear.
super beneficial.
That's good to hear because that's a big thing in gaming is just kind of, along with the stress and burnout, just kind of these injuries, wrist injuries,
Yeah.
cysts kind of forming on the wrist, back pain, maybe a lot of headaches. I don't maybe kind of maybe some nerve problems. That could be a big neuropathy. That could be some things you have to consider. Uh, so next question, I got two more questions before we get to closing one. These are kind of characteristic type questions. So we're going to kind of go with the teammate. What characteristics make a good and bad teammate? Great and bad teammate.
Are we talking about just player in general as a teammate?
We're just what would you want? What would be like example? It doesn't have to be a specific player.
I would
What?
have to say the qualities that would be
Yeah,
needed.
we'll go with qualities. Yeah, that makes sense. Qualities of a great teammate and a bad teammate.
Qualities, characteristics are the same thing, but I would just say qualities. It's just sort of Q sounds cool. Um, I would have to say the qualities would be humility, maturity, responsibility, and honesty.
And a bad one.
Bad one, an asshole. Plain and simple. Let's just keep it just simple. Just if you're just a straight up just ass, I just don't know what you're doing here, man. If you're just giving constant attitude, complaints, if you're just like if you're just being just straight up negative all the time, like I don't need you. You're just not the right fit here. You can join another team that support toxicity, poor behavior, go for it. But here it's a no go. I don't want to deal with it.
Respectable.
It's like dealing with like 14-year-olds. It's like I don't know. I can't. No. So you have to have some sort of humility, maturity, responsibility, honesty.
Also, one thing I forgot to add, I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's kind of great for you to, going back to boot camp boot camp thing. It's kind of great that you kind of, even if your organization doesn't have a small following, you're kind of considering the boot camp option because there's not a lot of esports organizations that are kind of minor, kind of do that. So great for you to kind of consider that. Hopefully, when COVID ends, you can probably hopefully host that.
Yeah.
But the last question I got for you before we get to a closing topic question is what makes a great esports organization and a bad one? We can consider it. Let's go from, we're not going to consider it from the smallest level. So like anyone with a small following, but we're going
Mediocre.
to mediocre to big.
Okay.
Actually, we'll go with big organizations. Like a
What,
great big
what makes
organization.
what makes a great organization big? I would have
Oh,
to
sorry,
say,
not big, not big. Like a great esports organization, how it's like
just
ran and all that. We just go with general esports organization.
just general.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't want to go with the size and all that because that might be confusing and hard to
Um,
differentiate.
what makes a great organization? I would have to say the overall community that you bring, just the sort of attributes that you bring alongside yourself, because it's not just about the brand; it's about the image the owner portrays. It's the reputation that exceeds the likelihood of being noticed and being considered as a great organization. It's not just based on talent and success. It's based on the foundations that are built through reputation. Um, so yeah, being a great organization, you need to just. I would have to say you have to be the person that just reaches out, that just engages with constant engagement with the community. Just being respectable, supporting people, being kind of like I would say always respectable. Um, Having a sense of like professionalism as well. That's super important. Maturity is a huge thing as well. Just gotta be mature. There's always a time and place to joke around, obviously, but being a great organization today would be a sense of community. Just
Respectable.
understanding there's a bigger world than your bubble. Like you have your bubble, but you have to just think it's much bigger out there. That there's a much bigger bubble that you want to understand. So yeah,
And how about a bad one?
a bad one. Um, well, it's I would have to say what makes it bad organization is poor structure, just poor management. There's no management, there's no involvement. In fact, it was a situation. I had a console team. Well, I do, but when they were a console team at first, they left for a different organization. When they were on that organization, they told me that they were not in the loop, that there was no involvement, there was no sense of communication as well. Like they don't know what the ambitions were. They just were not in the loop. They were not being like in conversations or in meetings. They don't know what's going on at all. And I think that's like, and then they came back here because they knew that with me, I would be engaged with them. And I think that's what makes a bad organization is that if if you're not being involved, if you're not being engaged or having a sense of community, if you're not involving others, people are going to lose sight of what you're representing. People are not going to know what you're trying to do because they're part of your team, they're part of your organization, your brand. And if they don't know what your ambitions are, if they don't know what's going to happen, then they're going to get lost. And then you're going to start, fluctuating. You're going to start saying, like, hey, why are you guys doing this? Like, oh, well, we didn't know. Like, you're not keeping us in the loop. And I think it's just having poor communication. Overall, is poor communication, no sense of community, and just poor management. I think those are the top three things.
That is absolutely what I would have said in your shoes. That same exact thing, like that management thing. Just you got to be up with your team. You got to keep up with your organization because if you're inactive, yeah, you're not gonna go anywhere with it.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people tend to um, oversee a team and an org. Like there's a difference between a team and an org. An org has structure, there's management. A team just has a team leader, and you're only involved in one game, and there's constant changes that occurs. You have maybe one sponsor, the one sponsor everyone does, Rogue Energy. I mean,
Yeah, I heard that one.
everyone
Jerky
has that.
XP, Jerky XP. Well, it's
Yeah,
the easiest one to gain,
yeah.
so that's why you got to do it as a small one. But the whole thing for a big
But we didn't do it, so but yeah, I have to try to do something different. Sponsors are Pyre Gaming Supplements. Slight Rogue Energy, a bit more expensive, but at least with them, they get to communicate with me, which is great. Rogue Energy didn't really communicate; they just kept sending emails like, "Hey, holiday sale, like, hey, use this, hey, use that. Here's a newsletter." Great. Why don't you ask me what my ambitions are? I want to know what are your goals. I didn't get any of that Rogue Energy, so I said nope, not them. I did Pyre. Pyre is cool. I did Custom Esports, which is a Jersey company, super great. They communicate with me at least. Fiverr, I don't know why I did Fiverr. It's just another cool sponsor to have, I guess.
So you think about dropping them, or are you keeping
Yeah,
them?
I'm gonna drop them. They're more of a freelance service, and then we just got a
Oh,
new one that's Vertigear. They're a gaming chair company, so that's really cool. So it's nice. Just you gotta just want to do things that are different from typical organizations. I see a lot of organizations with the same ones, like same sponsor. It's like, why don't you be unique? Do something different. You know?
it's kind of hard to do as a small one.
Mm,
Well, again, yeah, that probably will help, but a small one, you're just trying to get the money as quick as possible. But so that, and probably the Rogue Energy, probably the reason they probably don't respond is because they probably get like 10,000 other organizations they have to probably
mm.
send emails to. So it's kind of hard. So that's probably why they send you that.
I would have to say a lesson for any people that are wanting to create an organization. Don't When you're first starting, don't go for the sponsors. Go for the structure first. Build that structure first. Build that sort of foundation that okay, make your goals, make a plan, build from there, find a game that you want to do, find people that want to play, and then from there you'll be able to know, like, okay, because you need to ask them, like, do you guys drink like energy stuff? It's like, oh no, because none of my members do, so I have to draw Pyre because no one drinks energy, so what's the point of having them? So because we can't promote the products because no one does, so it's always important to know your players, get the structure, and then you can go for the sponsors. That was my mistake first, is that I just hired and tried to get as many sponsors before getting that,
Because you're
initial
concerned about
structure.
the money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is like
that makes sense.
it's just it's human error. It's at one point it just makes us human. But I learned from my mistakes, and I'm hoping someone else doesn't follow my shoes and just make the structure first, really, and then because the money comes after. Like we're not making money, but we're going to grow without, like recognized by another organization. They sent me a message, it was really like heartwarming. They said like, hey, congratulations on your growth. You guys are turning into be a proper organization. It was really nice. I was like, oh, okay, great. Like that's great. That's fantastic. So it just getting recognized and, just working hard as much as you can. That's important. Just build that structure and then you can go for the money.
Okay, that's gonna be all for the team culture topics. Thanks for that. We're gonna end with the closing, kind of how to run our esports organization with the culture of the esports team. The closing topic question I have for you is gonna be kind of two of them. I just came on one like during the show. So first one I'm gonna talk about is the COVID situation. You know, you talked about it, COVID. You got rid of the boot camp possibility. Since you are from France, how has the COVID situation been handled? This is not for gaming. And have you seen slash heard of any gaming events happening in your country?
Yes, of course, as the land of the French league for Rainbow Six. That's
Oh, I
all I
didn't
know
know
because
that.
I'm super involved with Rainbow Six, so I know a lot about it. But I know that the line event couldn't happen, obviously. Um, but in and of itself, outside of gaming, I think there could have been some better measures taken. But during like we had like confinement of over think about like 5 months. Like we had like 5 months of confinement, so like we couldn't go outside at all. And if we were going outside, we would have what was known as an attestation. It's like kind of like a certificate stating that we have, we hereby sign that we can go outside for these certain, like obligations to go shopping, go to, go to go to church, maybe I don't know, go to work and stuff like that. If it didn't fall in any of the categories, you would get an amount, which means like you get a ticket where you had to pay 135 euros. So there's that. So just kind of just deteriorating the amount of people and exposure that happens. So
I know
I
America
mean,
does
yeah,
not have the. Yeah, there's a reason why we're leading COVID cases.
I mean, what? I mean, you guys have more people than us, and
Yeah,
second,
yeah,
it,
that's the thing.
the wave didn't hit you early like us. Like we got it first, and so we were able to kind of, and we had like these small countries around us, starting with Italy. Italy was hit the first and
Yeah,
like the hardest.
that was a hard
Yeah,
one.
but I would,
Like it was like,
yeah, and with the whole Trump situation, I don't know if he took the certain approaches to prepare your nation really, because I lived in the US of course for like 18 years, so I know about it. I was there when Trump was voted too, so it
oh,
was,
you lived in the U.S.? I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. I lived in Cali for about what
I was just
7
curious because man, your American accent sounds like you got a really deep American accent. I was like, wait, what?
yeah,
That does not.
yeah. I'm not
This
American,
sounds
I'm
pretty good.
French, but I did grow up in the States for about
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, 18, 19 years. Yeah, I did Cali, and then I went to abroad to study a little bit, and then I went to Texas, did university, and finished that. So yeah,
What university did you go to? And
I
did you
went to,
actually get your? Oh, wait, never
I
mind.
got a
Forgot you're a
diploma.
teacher. Yeah, I forgot.
I got a diploma. But yeah, no, it was really. I went to Dallas. I was, yeah,
So,
Dallas, Texas.
University of Texas, Dallas, if I'm
I
guessing.
actually
Or
went to a community college,
oh,
but I
never
was
mind.
still was able to, I don't know why I call it university. Here in France, there is no community college, which is called university. So
Yeah.
getting back into the culture of France, I have to kind of make the switch all the time. But yeah, I would have to say that the whole coronavirus situation, it was really hard. It's really hard, especially for everyone. Like everyone wants to do LAN events. All LAN events have been, pushed back and everything. So didn't let us to, just really kind of just, it's very restricting. That's the word I was looking for. It's restricting. So it's kind of hard, but we kind of make do what we have to do. Just, when the time comes, when we get that virus, which is being, underdeveloped
Vaccine,
and
vaccine,
the
not
vaccine.
virus. You can't. You're
Sorry,
gonna
virus,
develop a
vaccine.
virus again.
The vaccine is being, developed right now. So we're making, slow progress, but it's progress nonetheless.
Would
And
you get
so,
that
yeah.
immediately?
Uh,
The vaccine?
well, I mean, it depends if we get it, because right now,
Will it take a while?
France, right now, I think I hear a lot of articles saying that they're against the virus, not the vaccine. I don't know why. I guess they just don't like the, the, the combustion of the different variables they used to make the vaccine. I don't know. I just don't know. I just know that when it does come out, I'll get vaccinated. Definitely will.
Okay. And since you play a lot of R6, what is and we talked about esports a lot. This is going to be talk. I'm going to do this in a later episode. that I have planned where I want to talk about the bads about esports and Rainbow Six, but kind of what is one concern, what is one thing that you kind of need to have, one concern you have about R6 esports at the moment?
Um, the current changes, just the constant changes every season. There's a lot of things, a lot of issues that occur and reoccur, and everyone's always talking about a new, like Operation Health. Bring it back again. I'm down. I'm with it. You gotta bring it back. We have too many issues with cheaters. This whole utility beta, it's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. What went through their heads. I don't know, man. I think they just drink too much alcohol and just, we're not thinking straight. Um, so yeah, that's just, I would say with its current state, it's not going really well. I'd say there's huge improvements need to be made, especially on console. I'm working with a good friend of mine from the UK. He wants to bring back, and I had thoughts of it as well, to bring Xbox back in Pro League for Rainbow Six. And so we're working on the league, R6XP PL. That's what we're doing. And so, like, with the whole mouse and key situation with Rainbow Six involved, it's just really hard. Like, Ubisoft and Microsoft got to fix something up. They got to do something, make it happen. Like, you just got to just put a restraint on it, and if not, then Rainbow Six is going to go down. There's a lot more users on Xbox than there are on PC. So at its current state, esports involved or not, it's just going to keep going down if they don't start making drastic measures over the current situations.
Respectable. That's a good. I would love to see Xbox League again because I didn't get into Rainbow Six until let's see, November. I didn't download the game until November 2017. So, and that's probably that's when it didn't exist anymore. But I would love to kind of see players use controllers on Heart Six, especially and just see how many missed shots, whiffs we'll probably see. It'd be kind of hilarious to cast. If I would love to, if we can cast it, to just see how many turnouts we see because someone misses a couple shots in the back.
And you can watch it. It's on Twitch.
Yeah, I could.
It's on the European region, and he's talking about spreading to NA as well. But baby steps, we get there. But yeah, but you can watch it. It's really funny. Yeah, some people just, you should see the amount of potatoes I see. It's just ridiculous, man. God. Yeah.
I think I watched it before, but I don't remember. I think I think when I do watch some of the smaller leagues a little, like the smaller PC leagues, like they do have. It seems like they do have kind of pro strats, so probably it's gonna be the same in every other league. But that's kind of the small leagues I watch. I think it has to be the overall esports structure. I think the problem is just the big breaks. This is why United, Tempo Storm, and I don't think I want to go Sonic Situation, but EG.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Well, no, Reciprocity went bank. No, Reciprocity won't count in that situation because I think they
Didn't they
had
rebrand to
because they're.
Oxygen or something?
Oh yeah, they got transferred there, but the Reciprocity ended
Yeah.
because of financial issues due to COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because that didn't
The
have any
whole Vegas
sponsors.
thing. Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole Vegas thing.
Yeah, so
um,
that killed it. But I just don't think the 5 months is gonna work. Like you're gonna end the league. You got one like from September to October, 1 month straight month. You just have league matches, and then you got five, and then some October. Unless you're a top four team in the NA league, you got 5 months of absolutely nothing, unless
yeah.
you make the six invitation qualifiers, which no NAL team made. So that just kills it right there. Just that league structure. I kind of liked it when it was oh, let's see, like the 6 month structure, like they had in the past, where it's just like it seems like it's decently spaced.
I
The
would say
league that
having a double round system, double round run system would be really nice for them
yeah,
because it's
that sounds nice too.
only having 1 month and then just nothing after that. It just sometimes it gets really repetitive and very boring. The 5 weeks of just scrimmages, if they even find one. Um, Because the thing is, like, in Tier 4, you can find scrims, like, every day. Because there are more teams, down there. Whereas in Pro League, you're very limited. You only have, 9 other teams in Tier 1. And, of course, you got Tier 2, obviously, Challenger leagues, Challenger teams. Then you have your national teams. But it's just really hard for them to fill up that gap in those 5 weeks of nothing. It's just really hard, especially if there's no league, there's no consistency.
That
Because
makes sense.
scrims and leagues are two different concepts as well. Leagues tend to be a bit quicker, whereas scrims tend to be a bit slower. It's more of just kind of like a prep phase, just preparing new strats and then applying them into league, and then into league just really fast paced. So I'd say just extend that 1 month system a bit longer. Maybe make it 2 or 3 months. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be kind of confusing how you got
6
the
6
major
weeks ago.
spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on stream as a look, sir. And no, I haven't. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't done one. The reason I got back into this because I kind of feel like I haven't done it. I'm gonna be shocked you. I haven't done this episode show in 9 months, so it's kind of nice to kind of get back into kind of talking with guests about gaming because I've been wanting to redo this again and have an interest in this. I have many topics shows. I had a hard time finding guests for this topic, but I think I had maybe I'm gonna say 10 other people for a specific topic, and you were one of the quickest ones to respond.
I had to
Or
tell someone.
well, actually, I had one other guest respond, but he didn't really give me his schedule was a little bit iffy. But I expect that. But at least it's better than like a no response. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining me on the show. Do you want to give any shouts before we end it off here to any?
No, not really. Just shout out to our socials, Team Paralysis on Twitter. You can join our Discord. We have a community server with it. So you could be a potential, player for us if you're in the European region. If you're a content creator looking for an organization, you can come join us. You're more than welcome. If you're a manager as well, I'm looking for managers. Just DM me at ZXOLR_ on Twitter. Oh, and I'll just message you back saying, hey, what's up? Other than that, thank you so much for having me here. It was really, really nice. Never done any of these, so it's pretty cool. Gets me prepped in the future if I ever have to do any interviews and such. So thank you.
Also, when you said for any viewers who watch this or when he says Zex, he means Z. So
Z.
that's yeah. There you go. It's a little hard.
Yeah, the British say Z. In France, we say Z. So yeah, so you have to try the constant conversion from American language to European language is a bit weird, but yeah. So ZXOLR_. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining the show, and you guys, that's on the game text. Bye.
All right.